to test your knowledge of trivia, along with Newfoundland's best high school students. It's time for Trivia Plus. And now let's meet tonight's contestants from St. James Regional High, Stephen Matthews and Basil Murphy. And from Herdman Collegiate, Nicole Lalonde and Jim Parsons. And now, please welcome the host of Trivia Plus, Susan Bonnell.
Thanks, Bill, and welcome to Trivia Plus, the game show that tests the knowledge of high school students province-wide. These two teams from our western region are competing for the right to represent their schools in our Trivia Plus final, which will be held later this year in St. John's. Each member of the championship team will receive a $1,000 scholarship, compliments of Cable Atlantic. Let's get our game started, players. Our 10 trivia categories are hidden behind the letters on the Trivia Plus board. Each category consists of 8 questions worth 10 points each. Watch out, players, you will lose 10 points for incorrect answers, but we don't let you go below 0. Also, hidden behind 2 of the letters are bonus rounds called trigger categories, and we explain these as we find them. We end each game with a 90-second speed round. Players may buzz in at any time during a question. Please remember that if you do, the other team will have the opportunity to hear the whole question if you're incorrect. Teams will select letters alternately, and Herdman won the toss before the game, so where would you like to begin?
The T, please.
At the very beginning, and this is our English category. This is a category of plot synopsis. The cherished Canadian classic of a young orphan girl who goes to live with her Aunt Cuthbert. Jim?
Anne of Green Gables.
In Prince Edward Island, correct. A poem by Coleridge in which a mariner recounts, Jim?
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
His trials at sea after shooting an albatross, that's correct. A novel which describes what happens after an airplane carrying schoolboys crashes, Nicole?
Lord of the Flies?
On a deserted island, that's correct. A 3-volume follow-up to The Hobbit. Jim?
Lord of the Rings.
Which describes the adventures of Bilbo and friends, that's correct. The story of school teacher Ichabod Crane, who disappears into the night, chased by a headless horseman. That's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The tragic play by Shakespeare, which explores the themes of greed and pride through its tragic hero, who's influenced by his wife and 3 witches. Jim?
Macbeth.
Correct. The William Gibson novel about the deaf, blind, mute 12-year-old. Jim?
Helen Keller.
That's incorrect. I'll complete for St. James. And her dedicated teacher, the title character. That's The Miracle Worker. The story of the first living being ever created by man, who walks the night, murdering the innocent to punish his maker. That's Frankenstein. Please pick a letter, St. James.
V.
The V?
Yes.
V is our geography category. These are questions on people and places. Given a list of names, I'd like you to tell me what country the group is most closely associated with. Galileo, Benito Mussolini, Stephen?
Italy.
And Leonardo da Vinci, you're right. Aristotle, Onassis, Socrates, Plato. Stephen?
Rome.
That's incorrect. Herdman, Jim?
Greece.
That's correct. Sun Yat-sen, Confucius, Mao Zedong. Jim?
China.
Correct. Al Stewart, Macduff, Robert Burns. Jim?
Scotland.
Correct. Rachmaninoff, Dostoevsky, Lenin. Nicole?
Russia?
Correct. Bridget Nelson, Börje Salming, and Stefan Edberg. Stephen?
Finland.
Incorrect. Jim?
Sweden.
That's correct. Leslie Nielsen, Glenn Gould, Pierre Burton. Jim?
Canada.
That's correct. Alan Silito, Robert Palmer. Jim?
Great Britain.
Yes, we will accept that. Torval and Dean. Correct. Please pick a letter, Herdman.
The R, please.
The R is our mathematics category. As always, we give our players some paper and a pencil to do the mathematics and a little bit extra time. We're a little lenient on our buzzer. How many edges are there on a cube? How many edges on a cube? Jim?
12.
That's correct. What is the cube root of 64? Jim?
4.
That's correct. Evaluate 51 multiplied by 49. 51 multiplied by 49. Basil?
1399.
That's incorrect. Herdman? The answer is 2,499. The area of a rectangle is 30 square meters. 30 square meters. Its perimeter is 26 meters. In meters, what are the dimensions of the rectangle? The area of a rectangle is 30 square meters. Its perimeter is 26. In meters, what are the dimensions of the rectangle? Basil?
10 by 3.
That's correct. What point is the intersection of the lines y is equal to 2x and y is equal to 3x plus 8? Point is the intersection of y equals 2x, y equals 3x plus 8. X is equal to negative 8, y negative 16. The professional baseball season is 162 games long. How many games would a team have played when it has completed 2/3 of its season? The professional baseball season is 162 games. How many games would a team have played when it has completed 2/3 of its season? Basil?
108.
That's correct. How many hundreds are there in 1 billion? How many hundreds are there in 1 billion? Nicole?
1 million?
That's incorrect. St. James? Stephen?
100,000.
That's also incorrect. There are 10 million hundreds in 1 billion. Factor 2x squared minus 11x minus 21. 2x squared minus 11x minus 21. We are looking for 2x plus 3 and x minus 7. Please pick a letter for St. James.
A.
The A is one of our 2 trigger categories. This is from our science question. St. James, you may play or pass to Herdman the brain. The brain.
We'll take it.
Okay. What's the term for the 2 main divisions of the brain? We know them as the cerebral hemispheres. The cerebral hemispheres are linked by the corpus callosum, which allows the 2 sides to do what? Lets them communicate with each other. Often referred to as the central relay station for sensory impulses, this also seems to produce awareness of sensations like pain, touch, and temperature. Stephen?
Cerebellum.
Sorry, we're looking for the thalamus. All ascending and descending nerve fibers connecting the brain to the spinal cord pass through this, located beneath the brain. That's the medulla oblongata. Okay, Herdman, we have glands for you. Glands. What gland, an important link between the nervous and endocrine systems, releases many hormones affecting growth, sexual development, metabolism, Jim?
Pituitary.
And reproduction, that's correct. Secreting hormones that regulate energy and emotional balance, this gland controls the rate at which the body produces energy from nutrients. That's the thyroid gland. What gland produces the female sex hormones estrogen and progesterone? Jim?
The ovary.
That's correct. The pancreas secretes digestive juices which break down fats, carbohydrates, proteins, and acids. What What other important hormone does it secrete? Jim?
Insulin.
That is correct. We've reached the end of our fourth round. The score right now is nothing for St. James, 150 for Herdman. We'll verify the score and be back with our final 6 rounds after this break.
I don't know if you remember me, but I'm your lab partner in science. Anyways, I was wondering if you'd consider dancing with me.
Yeah, I would.
Really? You dance with me?
No, I said I'd consider it. Then I'd say no.
Hi, I don't know if you know me very well, but...
No, thank you.
I'm not much of a dancer, but...
No.
You know, I wouldn't blame you if you said...
No.
Would you like to dance with me?
If at first you don't succeed, you're pretty normal. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Thank you. Welcome back to Trivia Plus. Now we get the opportunity to meet our players from St. James in Port aux Basques and Herdman Collegiate in Corner Brook. From St. James, we have Stephen and Basil. Hi, Stephen. Tell us about yourself.
I'm a level 2 student, and I like to listen to music and play sports, just bowling and badminton.
Are you playing a team? Those are team sports or individual for you?
Well, team sports.
Your school has a badminton team?
Yes.
Have you gone anywhere with the team? Have you had
Not
the opportunity?
yet.
Not yet. Lots of time left in their school year to do some traveling around. Have you thought about what you'd like to do when you leave school, Stephen?
Doctor, I'm looking towards.
Still up in the air. Medicine, eh?
Yes.
A long road away for you. Good luck to you in that. Hi, Basil. Tell us about yourself.
I'm a level 2 student from St. James High and like to read and play baseball.
Right, and you were telling us that you're into fantasy novels. And you play basketball, did you say, or baseball?
Baseball.
Baseball. And there's a junior team in...
Not on a team.
Not on a team, just sort of out kicking around or whatever. Have you thought about what you'd like to do when you leave school? Still up in the air. You got lots of time to decide. Good luck to you both in the game. And from Herdman Collegiate, we have Nicole and Jim. Hi, Nicole. Tell us about yourself.
I'm a level 2 student from Herdman Collegiate. I'm in the peer counseling group, art committee, junior achievement, and the drama club.
Right, so you're very busy. Peer counseling, is that something you're really interested in?
Well, I joined up in it last year. We haven't really had a whole lot of meetings this year, but
yeah,
we did a nice few things last year.
Yeah, it's a great organization to be able to help out your peers. Great. Have you thought about when you leave school?
No.
Not yet. Hi, Jim. Tell us about yourself again.
I'm a level 3 student at Herdman, and I play hockey, and I'm involved in the student council, and I sing, and I play saxophone.
Are you pursuing a musical career, do you think?
No, I'd like to minor in university, but...
Got interests otherwise?
Well, I like medicine.
Great.
Medicine looks good.
Well, there you go. You're going to practice with Stephen. Let's get back to the game. Please pick a letter for us, Herdman.
The first I, please.
The first I. This is our music category, and it's also an audio category for you today, players. I'd like you to have a listen. These are musicals, so you'll hear a song from a musical, and I want you to just identify the musical for me. Simple as that. Let's listen to number 1. Jim?
Phantom of the Opera.
That's correct, and that's All I Ask of You from Phantom of the Opera. Let's listen to our second musical. Nicole?
Grease?
That's correct. It's Hopelessly Devoted to You from Greece. Listen to our third musical.
Sure as the tide was to go down stand, Benjamin is an innocent man. Sure as bananas need the sun, we are the criminal guilty ones. Oh no, not he, not he. Why you can't let him tell me that we say him, take me, Benjamin is greater than his mom.
And that's Benjamin's Calypso from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Let's listen to number 4.
You are 16, going on 17, baby, it's time to sing. Better beware, be canny and careful, baby, you're on the brink. You are 16, going on 17.
That's You Are 16 from the musical we see on TV all the time, Sound of Music. Let's listen to our 5th musical. Jim?
Jesus Christ Superstar?
That's correct. That's Hosanna from Jesus Christ Superstar. Our 6th musical? Jim?
West Side Story?
That's correct. That's Tonight from West Side Story. Number 7.
The greatest magician has something to learn from Mr. Mistopheles conjuring.
Jim?
Cats?
That's right. It's Mr. Mistopheles from Cats. And our final musical? Jim?
Little Shop of Horrors.
That's Little Shop of Horrors. You'll be a dentist is correct. Please pick a category for us, St. James.
P.
The P. Here's our other trigger round you've selected. These are questions from history. You may play or pass to Herdman the 1500s. 1500s.
Pass.
Okay, this is for you, Herdman. Who in his 1512 Commentariolus stated that the Earth and the other planets turn around the Sun 52 years before the birth of Galileo? Jim?
Copernicus.
That's correct. Michelangelo died, Galileo and Marlowe were born, and what great playwright of all times was also born in this pivotal 16th century year? Jim?
Shakespeare.
1564, that's right. On his first voyage to North America in 1534, what explorer sighted the coast of Labrador? Jacques Cartier we're looking for. And what became the capital of Spain in 1560? Jim?
Madrid.
That's correct. Okay, St. James, for you we have the next century up, 1600s. Who founded a French settlement at Quebec in 1608? Samuel de Champlain. In 1644, what famous Chinese dynasty ended when the Manchu dynasty began? We most often associate this dynasty with vases and pottery. That's the Ming dynasty. William III left England in 1690 to fight his father-in-law James II at the Battle of the Boyne. In what country? That's Ireland. Our final question. In 1665, what scientist does his famous experiments with gravity and also invents differential calculus? With the apple falling on his head, Isaac Newton. Please pick a letter for us, Herdman.
The L, please.
The L is our general category. These things all have to do with things underground. Things underground. What escape route was taken by slaves in the American, Jim?
The Underground Railroad.
South, that's correct. An 18th century Indian incident in which 123 British prisoners died of suffocation while being held in a dungeon. That's the Black Hole of Calcutta. What's the name given to formations growing from the floors of caves? Jim?
Stalagmites.
Correct. Name the series of limestone caves in southeast New Mexico, the largest of which is called Big Room National Park. Jim?
Carlsbad Caverns.
Correct. What word is used to refer to the underground fighters? And it sounds similar to the name of the largest of the arthropod, Nicole?
Gorillas.
Apes, correct. An underground city railroad system or a popular sandwich, Jim?
Subway.
Shop, that's correct. An underground disaster in Nova Scotia took place in what mines? Basil?
West Ray Mines.
That's correct. It's a working man I am, and I've been down underground. is a line that was popularized by what Nova Scotia songstress? Jim?
Rita McNeil.
That's correct. Okay, St. James, please pick a letter.
U.
The U is our entertainment category. These are questions on film careers. I'd like you to identify the actor or actress who include these films among their lists of credits, all right? Easy Rider, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jim?
Jack Nicholson.
That's correct. Silkwood, Kramer versus Kramer, Out of Africa, She-Devil, and Death Becomes Her. Nicole?
Meryl Streep.
That's correct. The Way We Were, The Sting, Out of Africa, All the President's Men, and Sneakers. Jim?
Robert Redford.
Correct. Over the Top, Tango and Cash. Jim?
Sylvester Stallone.
That's correct. The Color Purple, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Clara's Heart. Nicole?
Whoopi Goldberg.
That's correct. Superman the Movie, A Streetcar Named Desire, On the Waterfront, Apocalypse Now, and The Godfather. That's Marlon Brando. Kramer versus Kramer, All the President's Men, The Graduate, Rain Man, and Tootsie. Jim?
Dustin Hoffman.
That's correct. A Fistful of Dollars, Sudden Impact, Every Which Way But Loose, Dirty Harry, and Unforgiven. Nicole?
Clint Eastwood.
That's correct. Please pick a letter for us, Herdman.
The I, please.
The I is our sports category. This is a category on changing places. The NFL's Phoenix Cardinals moved to Phoenix from what city? They moved from St. Louis. The Toronto Blue Jays presently call the Sky Dome home. What was the name, Jim?
Exhibition Stadium.
Of their previous home ballpark. That's correct. In 1993, the Minnesota North Stars franchise moved to what American, Jim?
Dallas.
City, that's right. It may surprise some to know that the Calgary Flames did not start out, Stephen?
Atlanta.
That is the city in which they did originate. What professional baseball team used to play their games at Jarry Park? That's Montreal Expos. The owner of the successful Raiders franchise surprised the NFL faithful in what community when he announced the team's move from there to Los Angeles? That's Oakland. Which Canadian football team used to play in Jack Clark Stadium prior to moving to its home games to Commonwealth Stadium? Warren Moon led this team to several consecutive Grey Cups. That's the Edmonton Eskimos. In which city did the NFL Colts play prior to moving to Indianapolis? They played in Baltimore. St. James, will we take the S?
Yes.
This is our Canada category. This is just general Canadiana for you. Which of the following is not guaranteed in the Canadian Constitution? The freedom of the press, the right to bear arms, or the right to peaceful assembly? Jim?
The right to bear arms.
That's correct. Which two non-European countries are the leading purchasers of Canadian exports? U.S. and Japan. What's the common term used to describe the Canada-U.S. border? Jim?
49th parallel.
That's correct. What's the standard 7-digit number for dialing long-distance information in Canada? 555-1212. After decades of intensive competition over the fur trade, two companies merged in 1821. Name one of them. Jim?
Hudson Bay.
And also Northwest Company, that's correct. What's the largest source of revenue for governments in Canada? That's personal income tax. What agency is responsible for appointments to the Federal Public Service and Newfoundland's Public Service? Public Service Commission. What geological formation is known by a name which means to protect? Jim?
Canadian Shield.
That's correct. And we've reached the end of our 10th round. The score is 20 for St. James, 430 for Herdman. We'll verify the score. Be back with our speed round after this break.
know right now.
I'm gonna try these.
You want to do that for the rest of your life?
I have no choice.
Exactly. Most jobs need high school.
You're telling me.
But that's where you can get choices. Here.
Where'd you get this?
We got this number you can call.
For a free booklet on career planning, call 1-800-461-2525. Your future is your call.
You know what I always wanted to be?
A Government of Canada initiative.
Welcome back to Trivia Plus and our game between St. James and Herdman. Right now we're preparing for our speed round, and Phil, why don't you tell us what the players are competing for?
All contestants on Trivia Plus will receive Cable 9's gift package consisting of a Trivia Plus t-shirt and Cable Atlantic coffee mug. Our provincial 3rd and 4th place teams will be awarded school packages consisting of an attaché case binder and pen set. Each member of our runner-up team will receive a $500 scholarship, and our championship team will win the Trivia Plus Trophy of Knowledge, along with individual scholarships of $1,000. Compliments of Cable Atlantic. And now back to Susan and the speed round.
Thank you, Phil. Our players are ready. We have 90 seconds on the clock, so let's begin. Who's depicted in his younger days on the American 29-cent stamp? Basil?
Elvis?
Correct. What ingredient causes bread to rise? Jim?
Yeast.
Correct. What's the most commonly used word in the English language? Jim?
The.
Correct. In hospital terminology, what's the ICU? Jim?
Intensive care unit.
Correct. Rebirth is most often associated, Jim?
Reincarnation.
Incorrect. With what season, St. James? A spring. What's the main drug in cigarettes? Jim?
Nicotine.
Correct. What does the acronym CIBC stand for? Jim?
Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce.
That's correct. Noah is famous for having built what? Jim?
The Ark.
That's correct. In 1968, who became the first black tennis player to win the U.S. Open? Arthur Ashe. For what talent is Fred Astaire best known? Jim?
Dancing.
Correct. What part of the body may be affected by an astigmatism? Jim?
Eye.
Correct. Whose television talk show is produced by Harpo Productions? Basil?
Overroom Show.
Correct. Who won an Olympic silver medal in Barcelona, losing first place due to an error in scoring, but has received, Jim?
Sylvia.
Who has received that medal? St. James? Stephen?
Sylvie Frichet.
That's correct. Wesley Allen Dodd, a convicted killer in the U.S., chose what unconventional style of execution? Hanging. In which building? We're out of time before we get to that question. The final score, 50 for St. James, 490 for Herdman. Congratulations to Herdman. We'll see you next week on Trivia Plus.
This is Cable Atlantic Cable 9, your community channel,